It's a new art form called Kinusaiga, and what you do is you start with a piece of insulation foam, and you score it with your design, and then you push the fabric in those little score lines that you did. I took some video of me doing this, and I want to share with you so you can do it too. The first thing you're going to do is get yourself a piece of 1-inch insulation foam. I cut my piece 12 by 12, but you can cut it to whatever size you want to do your project on. The next thing you're going to need is double-sided adhesive, and my double-sided adhesive piece of page here is 8.5 by 11. Didn't quite cover my 12 by 12, so I just cut another piece that would fit in there and would cover the whole 12 by 12 piece. I peeled the back of it and I stuck it onto my piece of foam. Since the protective covering of the adhesive was white, I drew directly on that. Then I shaded in the part of the water so I wouldn't confuse it with the other parts that I wanted to be fields or land. It just gave me a better visual so I wouldn't mess up the coloring that I wanted. I didn't want to get too involved and put green where I actually wanted blue. Okay, so once you have your picture on your piece of foam, you're going to take your X-Acto knife and you're going to score every line that you made on your picture. You're not going to go too deep, but you're going to go deep enough so you can tuck your piece of material in there. So just imagine tucking some material in there enough to kind of get it tucked in there nicely. So just take your time and go through and score every line. Make sure when you have a curve, you go curve so you can get that effect when you put in your material. This is kind of like coloring. You just kind of score every line here. You just take your time. I then sped the video up because you don't need to watch me trace every line here. But just turn your piece of foam around because I'm more comfortable pulling the X-Acto knife towards me rather than going away. So I just kept rotating the piece of foam to make it more comfortable for me to pull the knife toward me. So that might help you as well. Color coding some of the block pieces that you have there might be helpful, and that might help you remember how you wanted the design to be or where you wanted to put certain colors in your picture. So that's certainly something that you can do. You can write right on some of the blocks what color you intended to put there, or just take a little marker and write on, scribble that color on there. Okay, so now we are ready to put on our first piece, now that all the lines are scored, and you just take your seam ripper and lift off the paper, exposing the sticky part that is on top of the foam. I cut a piece of material just a little bit bigger than the piece of paper that I took out, and this is how I'm going to start the design. I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to kind of work my way out and around. Take the back end, the back of your seam ripper, and just tuck the material into the groove. Sometimes it goes fairly easy, and sometimes it's a little bit of a job. When you're choosing your material, make sure you choose some lightweight material. You certainly don't want anything heavy, because when you have heavy material, it's harder to get it in the little scored lines that you made, and also it is really bulky, so it makes those lines more prevalent because you're trying to cram a really big piece of material in there. So just keep working your way through. If you have a piece that is too long, just take your scissors and cut it off a little bit, and then try to put the remaining piece in the groove that you made. This is a very forgiving art form, and really there was a couple pieces that I had put in and I didn't like it, or I was off on the side and I didn't cut it long enough, and I just pulled it out and tried again. So just take your time putting it in there, and eventually it will go in, and you'll have a nice, neat little piece of material tucked in there. And before you know it, you have your first piece of your project complete, and it looks great. So this is just how easy it is. You do the same thing with every little section of your image, of your picture. You don't do anything different from the first one to the last one. So you just keep going. And I took some pictures of my progress along the way so you can see how I did it. Something I found helpful when I was trying to cut out the pieces of material was when I lifted up the piece of the design up off the sticky part, I put it on the piece of fabric and traced around it, leaving about 1/4 of an inch around the piece of paper. This gave you an idea of how big you wanted it and the shape. So I found this very helpful to give me a rough guide. It won't take very long for you to figure out how to cut your material so it fits in really good. Believe me, you'll get the hang of it really quick. I found this project to be very relaxing and very fun, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Here I'm just finishing up the rays of the sun, and you can see that bright blue in the bottom corner, left-hand corner. It was just bothering me. So you'll see in the last picture, I actually changed that to more of a medium tone blue. But it was getting exciting to get it done, and then I finally finished it, and here's my final picture. I will frame it in a 12 by 12 frame. Let me know if you think you would do a project like this, and follow me for more ideas on using scrap and repurposed material.